Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of All Queued Up, the review podcast tied to streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Disney Plus, etc., etc., etc. I'm your host, Greg Dietz. With me always is my co-host, Maya Don Fisher. How's your week been?
Pretty good, actually. Pretty good. I finished up painting my Gundam kit, the Master Grade Barbatos, that I'm entering into the painting competition into the comic shop. Sitting here on the desk in front of me, looking just marvelous. I'm going to take it up there tomorrow to turn it in. Tomorrow or Saturday to turn it in. But really pleased with how it turned out. It looks really, really good. Then I started working on a Mega Constructs Snake Mountain to go with my Castle Grayskull for those He-Man fans out there. I've had it sitting in the box brand new since September, and I just broke it out Monday to start working on it. Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. My days are lost right now. Tuesday I broke it out because I built one section Tuesday, built one section yesterday, and I started a third section this morning. And there's 5 sections, so I should finish at least one of the sections today and another tomorrow and finish it up by Saturday, I hope. But yeah, that and replayed the Legend of Dragoon, which was released on PlayStation Plus about 2 weeks ago, and I replayed through it last week. It took me about 48 hours to complete it, 100% it. Fun game. Dated as fuck, but
I tried to start it, and it was a bit rough.
Oh, it's dated as fuck. Like I said, it's a 23-year-old game. You know, it definitely suffered from the localization. In other words, the translation from Japanese to English. The translation is just not good. But
with a lot of those games, like I go back, like when I look at them now, I go, why were they so? Like, why would it have been a big deal back then? And I think that the visuals for that game would have been really good had, like, certain parts of it been a little bit better. Like, I think Legend of Dragoon is popular in a very niche group. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's got a diehard cult following, yes, but it's not a big following.
No, but you look at something like Final Fantasy VII, right, which was a big deal when it came out. That's why Final Fantasy VII was one of the most popular fucking Final Fantasies. And it was a big deal because it had the 3D aspect to it. Legend of Dragoon came out after it. And Legend of Dragoon did not have that cool power. If I think Legend of Dragoon came out before Final Fantasy VII, then Legend of Dragoon would have been what Final Fantasy VII is now. But I say that because both games to me are fine in what they are and what they do. But they don't look great now, right? And a lot of that has to do with the limitations of the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a PlayStation 1 title. It's definitely looks it.
Oh, yeah.
Which you and I have discussed, in conversation. The Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 1, worst video game graphics era of all time.
They're tough. They're tough to get past.
Because everything's so polygonal.
Yeah. Well, like, one of the things I always argue when it comes to video game graphics is that the sweet spot was the 16-bit era. It has enough pixels for everything to look, cool. You don't really, you can play it now without having the CRT filter. As I don't know if we ever talked about it on this podcast, but like a lot of those old games, if you take that filter off, the game kind of looks muddy. And I'm talking about 8-bit. But when you use the CRT filter, it kind of meshes everything together to make it look more cohesive. This is why a lot of older games Right. Because the way that designers had worked was with the CRT muddiness, and you're able to you're emphasizing the blending of the pixels, whereas modern 16-bit, 8-bit, whatever games are emphasizing the pixels. So that's why something like Shovel Knight looks really good and would look fucking terrible through a CRT filter.
Yeah.
But something like Castlevania, for example, play it now without the filter, it looks bad. It just looks bad.
Oh, yeah.
Mega Man is okay without a filter, but like I use this example of this picture of Chrono from Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
His face without a CRT filter looks bad.
Yeah.
And I think playing a lot of these old school games on high def TVs without that fucking muddy filter, it hinders the game these days. Like it's hard to play because it doesn't look cohesive.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, it's not a title that is easy to pick up, as you said, 23 years later with modern displays. But damn, back in 2000, it was pretty fucking badass. Yeah, I played through that.
Oh, for sure.
Enjoyed it.
Well, that's exactly my point. Is that
it's definitely deserving of a sequel or a remake. What's that?
Wasn't there a couple sequels?
No, this is the only game ever made in that series.
And what am I thinking of that had the word Dragoon in it besides that?
Well, Dragoon's been a job class in Final Fantasy games since Final Fantasy 3 or 4. So it's probably just carryover from that.
I was like, I'm probably thinking of.
There's probably other games that have Dragoon in the title that I'm not thinking of or off the top of my head. But yeah, The Legend of Dragoon was the only one in the series. And Sony flat out, owned it. They produced it and developed it and everything. It's like, why haven't you revisited this series? It was so fun. But yeah.
Well, that's exactly my point. It wasn't a popular release. That's all.
It was more popular in the West than it was in Japan. It was actually.
Sure. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that it wasn't popular enough in their vision to revisit it. That's all.
I don't know. I don't know why they never did. I mean, it sold. It was one of the greatest hits. Sold over 1 million copies, and how they would do greatest hits version of them, reduce it and give it to you for $20 like a year or two later. With that green sidebar on the jewel case, greatest hits.
Yeah.
But it was more popular in America than it was in Japan.
That might have a huge thing to do with it because it is a Japanese-owned product.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's been my week. Finishing up my model, played Legend Dragoon, working on that Snake Mountain, building it. How's your week been? Anything interesting or exciting happened for you this week?
It's funny you mentioned that. Yeah. Well, I won't lead the what's the fucking term? Lead the story. And I got a car.
Hell yeah! So congratulations.
Thank you. It's an older car. So here's the long and short of the getting the car in general. So, about a month ago, Steve, my boss, went on a cruise with his wife. Before leaving on the cruise, he mentions that his the guy that owns the plot of land that Steve rents to put his business in there on, his name is Sam. And he's like, Sam has a car that he's trying to get rid of. Let me talk to him. So Steve talks to Sam, and Sam says, "Yeah, I'll give it to Gregg, but we got to figure out how we're getting it down to Elk Grove." Now, where I live in California is about an hour and 45 minutes away from San Jose, which is where Sam lives. And they were trying to figure out how to do that. And the solution that we had at a point was Sam was going to drive it down, and somebody was going to follow him, and then both them were going to go back to San Jose. But in order to do that, you got to ask somebody, "Hey, is a solid 6 hours of your day open?" You know?
Yeah.
Maybe longer. Yeah, it would have been longer. It would have been about 8 hours because, yeah, Sam came down. He was there at 10. Anyway, so yeah, it's a big ask. So he couldn't find anybody. So what ended up happening was Sunday. Steve calls Sam and talks to Sam about bringing the truck down or bringing the car down, and because Sam's going to come out and look at the property, there's a bunch of shit going on. Like there's a ranch that's kind of behind the plot of land, and these cows kept getting out and roaming our area, and they were damaging pipes out there. Because the pipes are just laying on the ground. They're not buried under or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's just plastic PVC, so it's not like they were difficult for them to break. They're just stepping on it, you know what I mean? So yeah, Sam wanted to go out there and check the land or whatever, so he had to come out. And so Steve says on Sunday, "Hey, so Sam's going to come down in his Tesla, and then you're going to ride back with him and then drive the car back from San Jose." I was like, okay. I've never driven that road, that trip. Never. So I don't know it as well as others do. Or at all at that point. And I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, let's, I can do this. I can do this, right? This is not a big deal. I'm hyping myself up. It was more concerned about the fucking having to talk to an absolute stranger because I've never spoken to Sam.
Yeah.
Never. So it was just like, what do I talk about with an absolute stranger?
I hope you made it as uncomfortable as possible.
I didn't, thankfully.
Oh.
But so
oh, shit.
Tuesday morning. What?
Oh, I was just saying, well, shit, I was hoping you made it uncomfortable.
Oh, I just heard shit, like something happened in the computer or something. So Tuesday morning, I'm getting ready. I'm nervous, all this kind of stuff, and I get a call from Steve, and he says, "Hey, so Sam brought the car down," and I was like, "Oh," and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't have to make this trip from San Francisco or from San Jose. This is great. And he goes, "But what's going to happen is I'm going to come pick you up, and you're going to go get the car smogged." Never done that before, so that's a new process in my life. And then you're going to drive him back to his house, and then drive the car back down. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
So before it's like you'll ride down and drive back. Now you're driving down and driving back. So that just upped your nervousness.
Oh yeah. So Steve goes, "I'll be there in a minute to pick you up." And I'm like, thank God I got ready. Like, I wasn't expecting to go over there until like 1. And now it's 11. I'm like, oh, okay. So I get fully ready. I'm like, I'm all right. We're good. And Steve comes and gets me. We head over there. We go to the back. I look at the car and I'm like, oh, this is a bit smaller than I thought it was. Like, uh-oh. And I get it. I'm fat, as anyone has already figured out. I'm a big guy. So I'm worried I'm not going to fit behind the seat or behind the wheel, right? And I adjust the seat and I get in and I'm like, it's digging right into my gut. I got to figure this out. So I start moving the seat. Since it's electronic, I start moving it on the side. And I push it back as far as it can go. And I lift up it apart and I fit. Just barely. I fucking fit behind the wheel.
Well, it should have a tilt steering wheel too.
I don't know how to tilt it. I need to look at the owner's manual.
Oh, okay. I can Google it right fast since I know the model of car.
I'm not going to worry about it during the podcast. We'll do it.
No.
But anyway, I fit behind the wheel. That's the important part. And I go, okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to go get a smog. So I head down to a Shell station that was nearby, and they're like, we're booked until tomorrow. I'm like, fuck. So I go out to the car and I start Googling like smog places, and there was one that was kind of close by, and I called them, and they were like, "Yeah, we got room for you." And I was like, "Sweet!" So I fucking head down there. They get it in there, and it did not pass smog. But what caused it to not pass smog was a very small piece in the engine or near the engine. It's a what do you call it? It's a basically there's the air filter and then a tube that goes to the engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
That tube itself is broken. It needs to be replaced. Otherwise, I'm just throwing fucking gross air into the engine, which is, you know, bad. And I need to see if my dad can drive the car. Anyway, I'm sure he can. We trying to think what happened next. So yeah, so I go, okay, cool. It did not pass smog. But what the guy said is get this replaced, and you have 60 days to bring it back in. You have a 60-day extension.
Nice.
Dope. Fucking dope. I get back, and like, that was the other thing that Steve said was that Sam had registered the car before bringing it down. So it was like up-to-date tags on the license plate.
Very cool.
Which I didn't. I was like, I don't have to take care of that. Yay.
Did he put it in your name or is it in his name?
It's now put into my name.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So when I brought it back, we put it in my name, and then I got like short-term insurance or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that way, you know, if I got into a wreck, I would be taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. 1 second. Why? I just woke up like less than an hour ago, about an hour ago. Anyway, so I'm talking to Sam about it after everything, and he goes, "Hey, sorry about the dent here and that here," and I'm like, "Dude, let me just break this down for you. You gave me a car that I didn't have to pay for. It's a car that drives, and you gave me a car. I don't care about the damage on it. I really don't. And it's fucking superficial damage."
Yeah, yeah.
So after everything was said and done, Sam goes, "Do you want to drive up there or do you want me to?" And I was like, "You do it, because I've never driven that trip. I need to pay attention to where we go so that way I can make my way back." And he was like, "Okay." So then the thing, like, I'm still going to use my GPS, but fun fact about this car, it has no cup holders. It has 0 cup holders.
Huh.
How did I learn that? Because when I got back, I tried ordering food and I had to carry my. But anyway, I digress.
Did you get in and go
just before I leave?
Big
I go
gulps, huh?
Just before I left San Jose from his house, there was an AM/PM close by, and I went to go fill up gas, and I was like, "But I haven't eaten since like 8 in the morning," and then right now it's like 4 p.m. So I got myself a couple gas station hot dogs and a rib sandwich. I was like, that'll be fine. Like, they're not great, but, you know, they're good enough. Because there were no fast food. That was the other thing. There was no fast food. It was a bunch of restaurants and stuff, and I was like, I could go in and get something to eat, but it's like, it's 4 o'clock. I just want to get home. And here's the kicker about the freeways leaving San Jose back into Sacramento. They are congested as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there are two freeways that are, it's just a slow-moving fucking parking lot. And I was like, I got to deal with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and go. And I'll eat these and, you know, whatever. So, yeah, I don't get home until 7 that night. So it took about 3 hours to get back, which, again, was originally a hour and 45-minute trip. And then that was it. I was happy I had the car. The next day, I wake up at 4 a.m. and I am blasting my brains out. I'm just taking it's a huge fucking loose shit, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? That was weird. Anyway, all right, back to bed. And I wake up at 7 to go watch Mandalorian with Dad. And I'm like, nope, I gotta go to the bathroom again.
Oh no.
And I'm like, okay, well, this isn't that big of a deal. Like maybe I just didn't poop for a while because I was so nervous. My body does that. If I'm in a location that I'm not comfortable with, I won't poop. I just won't. There's been times where
I'm sorry,
I'll be at
that's
somebody
funny.
else's house for a while or doing something with somebody. I won't poop for days. That's just the way my mind works. Like I don't get it, but that's what happens. I don't ever feel like I have to poop unless it's like, hey, it's right there. Like I can't. My body's like, I can't do it any longer, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's like a fucking clogger style, like big. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
So anyway, so we watched Mandalorian, and my boss calls me, and I'm like, okay, whatever, and that was that. No big deal. Moving on from there. I then leave. I go to the store, which we didn't need a whole lot of stuff. I get back, and my dad's already gone because he had dialysis on Wednesdays, but he had paid the guy that took him there and brought him back, like up to a certain amount. So
he may as well get his money's worth.
Right. I had to pick him up, but whatever. So I get home and I get in my room with my food, and I'm like, man, I gotta poop again. So I go handle that, but at this point it's like there's nothing solid. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, uh-oh, like what the fuck? Like why is this happening? And I can't figure it out. And then just before I go pick up my dad, I have to poop again. I'm like, oh, fuck me. Like, why is this happening? This is so weird.
This is like
and
a
then
Tuesday
it dawns
for
on
me.
me. Well, then I start thinking, like, what did I eat? Like, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, what the fuck did I eat that's causing this? And she goes, what did you eat? Like, everything that you ate yesterday. And I mentioned the AM/PM food, and she goes, that's what it is. Like, when was the last time you ate AM/PM food? I was like, God, a year ago? And she was like, yeah, that shit's not good. And I was like, oh, fuck. So it straight up gave me diarrhea. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. So I go pick up my dad, and on the way back, I'm like, oh, fuck, I gotta go again. This is getting ridiculous. And as we're pulling into the driveway, like it is, like I'm starting to have a cold sweat. Like I'm like, I gotta go now. And I run inside, I get all the way to the top of the stairs, and my body's like, sorry, can't hold it any longer. I'm like, I'm 5 feet from the fucking toilet. And I just shit my pants. And I'm like, God damn it. So now I have to take a shower. And and I'm like, this fucking sucks. I get out of the shower. I'm like, maybe it's over. Maybe it's done.
Was it all contained in your pants? You didn't have to like mop the floor or anything?
Yeah. It was
Well,
it wasn't a huge mess.
You were lucky then.
Oh yeah. No, it wasn't that bad. But I haven't shit my pants since, I haven't shit my pants in quite a while. So that was fun. That was a fun treat. It's been actually like 5 years since I last shit my pants. The last time I shit my pants was when,
God,
I don't know if you remember this, but you remember when my knee was like completely out of commission and I couldn't walk?
Yeah. Like right after you came back from North Carolina and you fell at the movie theater?
No. This was about 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. I was at my buddy Nate's house. You remember Nate? Like short little, yeah. We were playing, that board game that's like it's a haunted mansion or haunted house?
Not really.
It's a really fun game, but it's kind of like if you took the idea of Clue, added monsters and ghosts and shit like that to it. That's what it is. Like it's you have to figure out who murdered somebody, but also you're trying to escape. It's dope. It's a dope ass fucking board game, but it's massive. And so I have to stand up every time it was my turn to move my piece and do things. And that up and down motion so much made my knee just fucking completely buckle. And I couldn't put weight on it. And then when I got home, it was so painful and so like swollen that putting weight on it at all was just not an option. And so I had to stay in my room because that's closest to the bathroom. I couldn't make it up and down the stairs. And multiple times during that entire like month and a half that my knee was just out of commission, I shit my pants multiple times because I just couldn't make it.
Yeah, I remember specifically the period. I just didn't remember exactly what caused the knee pain.
Yeah, it was just overusage. But after that, I also made it a point to make sure my knees were stronger, so I didn't have to ever deal with that again. So I do squats, not often, but often enough. Yeah. Anywho, so yeah, I had to deal with that, and then for the rest of the night, it was just like little bits, and I think I got dehydrated because I was tired. I was exhausted by the end of the day. But yeah, that was my Wednesday. So this was like, Jesus Christ. But I got a car now.
Hell yes. I'm happy for you. Very, very happy for you. And I know that alleviates a lot of stress.
That's a rough 7 months, dude.
Yeah. Well, I know it alleviates a lot of stress. It's going to save you a lot of money because Uber is not fucking cheap. Especially when you have to use it 5 and 6 days a week.
Well, that's just it, is that we were spending about, between my dad and I, we were spending about $200 a week on Uber.
Yeah.
And like my dad cut it down a little bit by getting that friend to help him out, but oof.
But yeah, a tank of gas in this thing, probably run you $40-$50 roughly, maybe a little bit more. But that tank of gas in that car, considering what it is, how the mileage it gets, will last you for as little as you have to go. The places you have to go will last you a majority of the month. Probably 2 or 3 weeks, easy.
Yeah,
so.
I'm very happy.
Yeah,
the thing that
fuck yeah,
the thing
man.
the thing I do feel a little bad about is I'm gonna eventually have to be like in a couple months, maybe 3 months, hopefully 3 months, I have to be like, hey Steve, I'm gone. Like, I'm gonna be going to Texas with my family. Sorry. Like,
well,
he'll live, but
he's also told you that he's going to start scaling the place down and shutting it down too. So, right?
More or less, like he was talking about how he wants to have more time off. So what he wants to do is get rid of the U-Haul, but still manage the storage, the RV storage and the storage units. And that what he would do is he would just have me on my 3 days a week.
Okay.
And he would change the hours. He would change the hours from 9 to 5. So that way, like, we don't get a lunch, but we get to eat our lunch at our desk if we want to. And and I would do, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Linda would do Monday through Thursday, and then Steve would occasionally come in and check up on things and still pay us. But now, and I'm like, okay, but he'd have to talk to Sam. He'd have to figure that all out. So we'll see how it plays out. But still, I have, like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, it's things are looking up a little bit.
Fuck yeah, man.
But there's a couple of things before we get to the reviews. There's a couple of things I wanted to bring up in entertainment news that I think are pretty funny. Something I brought up to you the other day. D&D released character sheets for all the characters that in the upcoming Dungeons & Dragons movie, Honor Among Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a good laugh at the class and race. Or is this class and what is it? Species? Yeah.
Well, it's still technically known as race in current editions, but I think they're going to update it to the species in the next edition, which,
whatever
has
terminology.
Yeah, terminology, but I follow you. Carry on.
I think they're changing the terminology because you can technically say that a character is being racist because they don't like dwarves or some shit.
Yeah,
race isn't bad, but it doesn't matter. Point is that I'm getting at is just the coffee fucking everywhere on my chest. Uh, the classes are pretty good. So we got a druid, a bard, a barbarian, a sorcerer, and a paladin. Cool. That sounds like a solid fucking party, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a great healer with the bard, but a druid
Paladin can heal too.
Paladin and druid can heal. So that works out.
Yeah.
That's what I said, paladin and druid. So cool, whatever, right? Moving on. However, the races not very much, not as broad. So our druid is a tiefling with very human skin. Human tinted skin, I should say. And then we got a human, and a human.
Yeah.
So
no half orc, no dwarf, no gnome, no halfling, no
nothing.
Fucking elf, nothing. It's just all here's your white bread humans. Which, to be fair, if they're variant humans in the game, I like playing a variant human because you get that extra feat at first level. So maybe it's just they did it that way to account for extra feats to give them a little extra skills.
I actually think there's a better reason or a different reason why they did it.
Oh, I'm sure I'm sure the reason is, it's cheaper to just make everybody a human and not have to do as many effects on makeup and prosthetics and etc. No?
Nope. I have a different one.
What's that?
Know that the movie's going to do well enough based on audiences wanting Dungeons & Dragons content. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Or is StreamYard still being a bitch today?
No, I hear you just fine.
Okay. It has to do with general audience. You're going to want people to come see this movie that don't know Dungeons & Dragons. And the best way to do that is to not have too much weird.
Yeah. At least for your core main cast. You can have plenty of weird. Hopefully we'll have lots of races in the backgrounds and side characters and things like that. I want to see that diversity, but it would be nice to have a little more diversity in the main party.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny. I was like, God, I swear to God, my dad. But yeah, I thought that was funny, and I just kind of brought it up. But anyway, the other thing I want to bring up was, so Seth Rogen is, he's made. I'm sure they're just finishing touches on it because it comes out August. A Ninja Turtle movie, TMNT Mutant Mayhem, and the cast looks great, right? You have all these characters from the '80s cartoon coming in. They're going to be mutants. I don't know.
I'm extremely surprised there was no Casey Jones.
If this movie does well, I think there'll be a sequel. I really do.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is that the turtles are all voiced by actual teenagers, which is the first time they've ever done that. And I honestly think that's really cool. I think that's really neat. It's going to add a certain dynamic to the teenage aspect of them being Ninja Turtles. But the thing that people had kind of latched onto via Twitter and other social medias was that April in this is black. Now, it's not the first time she's been black. Hell, like we talked about, one of the earliest iterations of April, she was black, or mixed, I should say. She was technically mixed.
The very first iteration of her back in Mirage comics.
She changed it down the line in those early Mirage comics. She went to the redheaded girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was originally a mixed race woman, and but even in the most recent iteration, Rise of the TMNT, she's a black girl. Now, the thing that fucking threw me for a loop when it came to this argument was you had a lot of people saying, "Oh, she's black. This sucks. This should be a redheaded white girl." Yada yada yada. And you got that typical shit. The thing that threw me for a loop was that April in this is not. She's chunky. She's on the chunkier side, which is what the fuck ever. Who cares? Like, why would you care? This is. Anyway, there were so many people saying she was fat and ugly. And I'm like, that is the weirdest critique to make of a character in a movie.
especially a cartoon character.
Especially a cartoon character for a kids movie. Yeah, so like there's this woman that on Twitter who was just like, she's like, she can be whatever skin color. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. I think that being black is beautiful, but why does she got to be fat and ugly? And I'm like, how do you pivot from not being racist to just being fucking prejudiced against fat people?
Yeah, that's a weird fucking stance.
It was a weird ass pivot. So every time I've seen some point like, I comment, yeah, I don't think you're weird or fatphobic or weird. I don't think you're racist or fatphobic. I just think you're fucking weird. And I've gotten a few responses. People like, how is that weird? And I'm like, well, let me break it down for you, you weirdo. So and I find that to be much more fun nowadays, fucking with people with these, opinions. I'm just like, you're weird. And they're just like, how is it weird? Like they get way more offended. It's so funny. Because like they're expecting people to call them racist, to call them fatphobic. But to be called weird, they're not expecting that. And they don't know how to handle it.
No, they don't.
So, anyway, let's go ahead and get to our review since we have 3 reviews to get to.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about Last of Us episode 8, Poker Face episode 9, and Mandalorian season 3 episode 2. So why don't we go ahead with what came out first in the week, which is Poker Face.
Yeah. Episode 9, Escape from Shit Mountain, which I thought was very amusing. It opens up, we've seen Charlie headed back west, and she's in the mountains somewhere in Colorado. And it looks like it's late fall, she meets a guy, interest, it's a mutual interest based on purely sexual attraction. Is clearly what catches their eye. They spend some time together, and he's like, this is Magic Mountain. She's like, I'm never leaving Magic Mountain. Cut to the wintertime, and she's like, God, I've got to get off Shit Mountain. She's trying to get some money together so she can get to Denver, is where she said she was trying to get to. So it then cuts to Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, where it actually opened up with Joe. Did it open up with him, or did it open up with her in Shit Mountain? Because normally it opens up with the character.
It opens up with him. He's stuck in the house.
That's right. We see him. He is on house arrest. Apparently, he's on house arrest for insider trading, and he's going through his daily routine, playing video games, working out, drinking his protein shake, ordering his food via DoorDash, never tipping his fucking dasher.
And which tells you right away he's the bad guy in the episode.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but that tells there are a couple of things that I will judge you fucking viciously for. 1 is not tipping. 2 is leaving your shopping cart in the middle of the fucking parking lot instead of taking it back to the corral. Fuck you. Fuck you if you do that. Either one of those things. And not tippers, people that don't tip and leave their fucking shopping cart in the fucking parking lot without returning it to the corral, those are the fucking worst. I hope they get fucking sores on their genitalia. Infectious pussy sores.
Well, you hate that way more than I do. I'll tell you that much.
I just don't like people that don't tip. I'm sorry.
No, not tipping. That's that one. That one I agree with you on, but the shopping cart one, I'm like, all right, it's not that big of a deal.
No, it is. It is. It's the measure of character. Because if you look at it, it's like, if you're a basically good, decent human being, you'll do beyond the bare minimum. The bare minimum is to take it back, put it back. Just leaving it for somebody else. And I get the whole, well, there's people that are paid to come and get these anyway. I'm sorry. Make it easier for them and arrange it so they can come out and do it instead of having to fucking run all over the parking lot and get them.
I
Assholes.
agree that people should be bringing the carts back to the corral. What I don't agree with is that they're a bad person for not doing it. That's my point.
I'm not saying they're a bad person. Essentially, I'm saying they're kind of shit character.
I don't even agree to that extent. Like, to me, it's
You leave your shopping cart.
no.
I'm just kidding.
No, because I do look at it from the
I'm kidding.
perspective. I know, but I do look at it from the perspective of a worker. You know, like having to go and pick those up all around the fucking parking lot while it could be easier for me to just get them and bring them back up front for other customers.
Yeah.
You know, you got those people that are just like, I'm too tired. I have kids with me. I'm exhausted. I'm just going to leave it right here and kind of prop it up against the thing that's not in the way of anyone parking or something to that effect. Like I've done that a couple times because I'm just like, my knees fucking killing me. I have a huge shopping cart full of food. I'm exhausted. I just don't want to fucking be here, or I've been sick. So like, I think it's better to say, if there's not a good enough reason, you're kind of shitty. But if like you don't know,
yeah, okay. Well, extenuating circumstances, yeah. You know, I'll make a caveat for that. I'm just saying a normal, healthy, able-bodied person that just chooses to leave it instead of walking the extra 30, 50 feet, whatever it is, to put it in the corral.
Well, this is why I'm also smart and park near a corral.
Oh yeah. But yeah. Anyway, regardless, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character in this is a piece of shit because he doesn't tip.
That's where we came from. That's right.
Which is funny because we realize he's on house arrest, and his dasher, instead of just hanging the food on his gate, leaves it outside of his gate. So when he has to stretch and stretch and stretch to get his food, he accidentally triggers his ankle monitor because he goes out of bounds, and that triggers a call from his parole officer who says, "Hey, there's bad storms in the area tonight. We're going to have to, the system's not going to be working, but I'll be checking in with you at 7 a.m. Make sure you're home." He's like, "Okay." So then he realizes, oh shit, they can't monitor me. I'm going for a joyride. So he's taking this Lamborghini out, driving it extremely recklessly, drinking alcohol on snowy roads in a snowstorm, almost hits a fucking deer, and then he hits a person. Shows up at a motel, gets the person out of the trunk, tells his friend, "Hey, Diego, we need to dump this body. I need the spot."
Did you just call him Diego?
I did. It's Diego from the Umbrella Academy.
I know, but
what am I supposed to call him, Jimmy? Because that was his name in the episode? No, it's fucking Diego.
No, let's not typecast a guy.
But anyway, the actor's name's David Castaneda.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was Diego until after watching it. I was like, wait, oh shit, that was the dude that played Diego. Really? I didn't realize it at first.
I recognized him immediately when his face was on screen. I was like, oh shit, dope.
Anyway, they go to a tree in the woods, peel back some brush, and dump this body in the hole, cover it back up. And they're talking and catching up in the motel office. That this guy, all of a sudden they hear a thump at the door, and they open up the door, and there's a body laying there. Turns out that this body wasn't dead. And then we cut back to the Charlie stuff. Seeing her try to get off of Shit Mountain, running into another drifter who likes to snowboard, and she's also a identity thief, because we don't know what her name is, because her name was Mortimer. What were you going to say?
So the actress, by the way,
Stephanie Sue.
I recognize her from something that was my favorite thing, and one of my favorite things in 2022.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep. I was like, this episode's awesome.
And that's the thing. This episode really was really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
We see her and Charlie working together, trying to hustle their way off of this mountain and make it to Denver. And eventually, Charlie's driving. It's snowing. It's in the storm. She misses a deer, ends up into a snowbank, gets the car stuck. She can't get out. Well, they don't have any cell service. So Charlie's like, go back to that gas station, call us a tow truck. And the other girl's like, it's your car. She's like, you're going to steal my car if I go. She's like, no, I'm not. It's bullshit. Anyway, Charlie ends up walking while the other girl waits in the car, which her name was, they just kept calling her Morty, because fucking she had that stolen credit card.
Yeah.
We never learned what her name actually was. But Charlie ends up getting hit by the car. So it's Charlie that was dumped in the hole and banging on the door. And then Morty shows up in Charlie's car, and that's when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is like, help, we think she's hurt. She needs a doctor. And then it's the whole unraveling of the mystery of what happened to me? Why was I dumped in the hole? And I got my stabby stick here that I dug in my way out. It turned out to be a human femur, her stabby stick, which turns into the murder mystery. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed this episode a whole lot.
Yeah, it was an interesting turn from what you normally expect out of these episodes. So, and the ending leads right into what the finale is going to be, which leads back to what episode 1 was. So, I'm fucking super excited to watch the finale. Yeah, I don't really have any notes for this episode. I just thought it was a nice, because the thing about these episodes is they're all bottle episodes, right? They all take place in a small location, and you only deal with a handful of characters. Somewhat bottle. But this was more bottle because it was literally one cabin for the most part. I guess the motel, whatever.
Yeah.
But the way it played out was really clever too, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Plus, I love the actors. Like, everyone in this was killer. So I'm like, this is one person specifically more than the other.
Yeah.
But no notes, no big notes. I'm just gonna give the episode an A. I don't want to spoil too much or say like what happened or too much. Like, when the body knocks on the door, I was like, my mind went, oh, that's Charlie. He hit Charlie on the road. And then they showed it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was really ambiguous of who he hit. You weren't sure because it could have been either one. It's like, which one of them did he hit? Because they're both wearing a dark coat. They both had their hood up. They both had gloves on. They both had boots on.
That was the one thing I wanted to say about this episode that you reminded me of with Charlie getting hit. This entire episode had the same visual stylings as early early green screen type movies. Like, think of the same visual aptitude as Sin City.
Yeah.
Like, when Charlie gets hit, it looked a little silly.
Yeah, because
not a major critique, but it there were moments where I was just like, oh, they're clearly standing in front of a green screen. I won't say specifically what happens with the scene, but when the car goes over the cliff, that really stood out. I was like, wow, I don't know if it was intentional or not. It felt intentional because the whole show is meant to feel like it's inspired by older movies and older.
Yeah, it's supposed to have a little bit of a grindhouse feel to it.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. That's perfect terminology. So, I enjoyed that aspect. This is, again, not a critique of it because I thought it was fun, but it was something I definitely noticed. But yeah, like I say, hey, what about you? What grade do you give it?
Oh, I give it an A. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed everyone in it. Well acted throughout the entire thing. Well written, well directed, well shot, well scored. Fucking done. One of my favorite episodes so far of the series.
You'll find this funny, Maya. When we started watching it, we were like, what? We had like 5 episodes before we started. Four. I started telling my mom, I was like, you have to, both my parents, I was like, you have to watch the show. I think you guys really enjoy it, blah, 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 blah. And so I go talk to my mom briefly, like Friday. No, it was Thursday night. It was Thursday night. And I see that she's watching, like she's 20 minutes into the first episode. And I went, oh, awesome. You're watching Poker Face. All right, I'll leave you alone. I just wanted to let you know, blah, blah, blah. She's like, okay. She goes and, continues watching it, and I go to bed or whatever. And then I'm at work the next day, and I just get this text from her that says, God damn you. And I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like, what's wrong? And she just goes, she just goes, I watched the first episode of Poker Face last night. I got so into it, I stayed up until 4 a.m. watching the rest of it.
Wow. That's awesome.
I was like, I told you you'd enjoy it. I don't know why you waited so long, but here we are. I could not stop laughing. It was so fucking funny. But I think she's all cut up, so I'll try to watch the finale with her tonight.
Hell yeah.
I think so tonight, yeah. But yeah, yeah, it's a good show. For anybody curious, like it's a solid show, so. All right, what's next on our list here? It'll be Last of Us.
The Last of Us, episode 8, When We Are in Need. And holy fuck, this episode. Greg and I have both stated, and Greg has stated it more so than I have. The game itself was a masterclass in storytelling.
10 out of 10.
This show tells the story better than the fucking game.
Yeah.
And this episode was no fucking different.
I saw a lot of people say differently online. Like they were just like, oh, I think the game did it better. And their argument, and I'll say this vaguely, it was more subtle as to David's intentions and I'm like, was it? Like, yeah, he says a line in this that's like directly like, oh, they're just outright saying it, where the game didn't say it as loudly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll just say it out loud. Him being a pedophile.
Yeah. Well, let's give the rundown, shall we?
Yeah, go ahead.
It opens up with Ellie leaving Joel one morning because they're out of food. They're hungry. So she goes hunting. She shoots a deer. She tracks the deer to where it fell and encounters a preacher, David, and a fellow hunter, James. James, played by Troy Baker, the original Joel from the games. Which was very cool because when he spoke, I was like, fuck, that's OG Joel. OG Joel.
It was funny. He was in an interview talking about like getting to play a role in the show, and he was like, I'd have been happy playing a fucking clicker. The fact that I get a whole role in an episode is more than enough. And I'm like, I get that, but
yeah. So after a standoff with them, she decides to trade the deer for penicillin. David reveals that while she's waiting for the medicine to be brought back by James, David reveals the man who stabbed Joel was a member of his group. Ellie leaves to treat Joel. The next day, she discovers David and his men have followed her to seek vengeance on Joel. She flees to draw them away, but is captured. At David's camp, he reveals he's been feeding his group human flesh. Meanwhile, Joel awakens.
It was venison. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm just reading the recap here. He didn't really reveal it so much as she easily clued in on it because of evidence left behind where she was locked up.
It was funny as I'm watching the episode, I just keep waiting for reveals that I know are happening.
Yeah. Joel awakens. He tortures some of David's men into telling him where their camp was located. David and James attempt to kill Ellie, but she kills James and escapes. David hunts her down in the hunting lodge because this takes place in a ski resort. David hunts her down, but she overpowers him and kills him with a meat cleaver. Joel finds a traumatized Ellie outside the cult's burning community center and comforts her, and they walk away.
Wasn't it just a knife?
It was a butcher knife.
Oh, I thought it was just a knife that she was killing him with, because I know in the game it's a machete.
Yeah, in the game it was a machete, but in this it was a butcher knife.
Okay.
Damn, that write up doesn't do this episode justice.
No,
at all.
It starts off with the guy who's playing David just being that weird kind of cult leader you're terrified of. And I was like, oh, this is shaping up to be fucking really good. And then it gets to a lot of like the similar notes that the game did when it comes to Ellie trying to save Joel's life. And we had just come off of, the backstory or the flashback of Ellie and I open them all. And so you understand why she's so adamant about saving Joel's life. Whereas in other post-apocalyptic scenarios, you would just kind of accept that the person that's there is dead. But Ellie is looking at it from a different perspective. She has to look at it from a different perspective. And I think that's why it was so important to tell last week's episode.
Yeah.
She does what she can. And there are direct lines from the game and the show. When she's pointing the gun at James and David, ripped right from the fucking game. Like,
oh, yeah.
Word for word. Yeah. The only difference in that scene is she's holding a bow and arrow versus a rifle. The rifle. Yeah.
And that scene opens up in the game. She actually kills a rabbit, but she knows the rabbit's not going to be enough. So she's, also is hunting the deer when she comes across those guys. And this she trips when she's getting ready to shoot the rabbit, and the rabbit gets away, and then she finds the deer, making it more desperate that she needs this.
Yeah. So, but it's really clever, and then we get to see David a little bit more, much like with the Kansas City episodes. We had a whole new character that kind of breathed life into this world that we exist in. Well, it didn't do that in the game, and so the same thing with this episode, where in the game there's a lot of time that Ellie gets to spend with David because they sort of team up. There's a whole reason for it in the game, but in the show, you get to tell that story a little bit differently, and getting to explore David more than we do in the game, or in a different way than we do in the game. I shouldn't say more, because it's less in the show. Actually, we spend more time with David in the game, but for the show, we get to see him away from Ellie, whereas we're just playing as Ellie in the game the whole time.
Yeah.
So everything that we see is from Ellie's perspective. Now we get to see outside of Ellie's perspective, and that is really fucking cool. It's really awesome to see this character that be shown in a way that like makes him more evil.
Oh yeah. And make no mistake,
he's evil
he
in
is
the fucking
flat.
game, but
yeah, he's evil as fuck. He's even super evil in this.
Yeah. So I don't want to say too much. You got to watch it. If you're not watching this show, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, because it is easily one of the best things shows of let me try to say this without stuttering anymore. It's easily one of the best things on TV right now. And we only got one episode left. Yeah. But and I did buy my Last of Us Part 2. So
yeah, I know. I'll eventually get to playing it.
Sooner rather than later, because I'd like to fucking talk to you about it.
I know.
But yeah, let's go ahead and give it a grade and then move on to the next thing. A+, fucking A+. Everyone does a stellar job in the episode. Everyone plays the role to the extent you need them to. You know, we actually get a little bit more out of James too, which is not something we got in the game at all. We get to see James as more of a, like, he's following David because he knows he has to. He knows it's best for survival, but you know, before the end of the world, or in a different setting versus the end of the world, because James looks to be about 30, so he'd have been a kid when it started, since we're 25 years into the future. 20 years?
20
25?
years.
20 years.
20.
Yeah, so he'd have been a young person, you know, going into the end of the world. And but he would have been like a military guy or an officer, you know, like he would have been that kind of person. But he also has a good morality compass inside his head, and he knows that what's going on is wrong, but also to an extent a necessity. And seeing that explored even just a little bit adds some depth to the fucking story. So I was really happy with it. But yeah, I'm excited for next week. Both of us know exactly what's happening next week.
Yeah. Yeah. If you've played through the game, you know what's going to happen. But I wonder how it's going to play out.
Well, I don't know if it's in the beginning of the episode or halfway through. I don't know. We are getting a solid 10 minutes with Anna, Ellie's mom, when she's pregnant with Ellie. Played by Ashley Johnson. Which, if you don't know, is the voice of Ellie in the game. Voice and mocap actor, I guess you could say.
Yep.
But fucking stoked for that. It's only running 45 minutes long, too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Which tells me a lot, because we're still getting... Oh, I can't say it. I can't say it's a spoiler. It's a big old spoiler for... like, if you haven't played the game and you don't know what's happening, I would hate to ruin that for you. I almost said it, but... I'll text it to you, Maya, so you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Getting the... There, look at that. This has been confirmed, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I don't want to spoil that. I don't want to ruin that for anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
So
totally understandable.
That's why I'm stoked, because we're getting that, we're getting the, you know, Anna, and we're getting the ending. I'm like, how are they doing that in 45 fucking minutes? So, what grade do you give it?
A plus.
A plus as well.
I was teetering. I was teetering between A plus and S, because it was that good. It was, I think, just almost there, but not quite.
Yeah, I think we should reserve S's for whole seasons. If the whole season is like A plus every episode, then it gets an S. But we should review each episode without, like, just say A plus or not. A plus is max on an episode.
Well, we gave the Bill and Frank episode an S.
I know. But anyway, final thoughts?
Incredibly well done. You know, I really loved the fleshing out of the town, the village, whatever you wanted to call it, that David ran. And you could see his followers, and I'm using quotation marks there, were not comfortable with him being in charge, but most of them didn't have the ability to survive on their own. So it's, you know, they're there out of a necessity and not because of his charismatic personality, as he would like to lead others to believe, Ellie in particular. The scenes between him and Ellie were phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when she reveals her name to him. Loved it. But yeah, this episode is great. You need to watch it.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with this show.
All right, let's talk about The Mandalorian, Chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore. What do you say?
Get into it, yo.
Well, we see it opens up with Peli Motto on Tatooine during the Boonta E festival. She is scamming a Rodian, which I thought was funny as hell.
Oh yeah.
And then Mando shows up. He and Grogu.
Hey, where's my guy?
Yeah. Oh, who taught you how to jump like that?
I love that character so fucking much.
Yeah, her character is a lot of fun. So Mando's like, I'm here on business. I need a memory chip for an IG droid. And she's like, I don't have one. Those things are ancient. My Jawas don't have one. She's like, but how about you buy R5D4 here? I'll give it to you for half price. Throw in an oil bath. He's like, no. I need a droid that's rated for spelunking. She's like, she eventually sells him R5D4. So we see Mando, Grogu, and R5 fly to Mandalore. They make it through the atmosphere. They land. Mandalorian orders R5 to scout ahead to ensure the atmosphere is non-toxic. Doesn't return, so he goes into a cave and he gets attacked by these fucking creatures in the caves. And I immediately was thinking of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine and the Morlocks.
Yeah. I didn't place that, but yeah, you're right.
I was just like, oh shit. But these Morlock-looking things, they're troll-like species. He overpowers them and he heads deeper into the mines and finds R5. They go back to the ship, find out the atmosphere is not toxic, so it's breathable. So he gets Grogu, and here's Grogu in his little floating pod, an R5D4. And no, R5 stayed with the ship, and it's just him and Grogu and Mando. They go deeper into the mines, and he's captured by this cyborg creature. And as it's overpowering him, he tells Grogu, go find Bo-Katan. So
does he say that to Grogu?
Yes, he says, get to Bo-Katan. Because when they were
that, apparently.
Yeah, he really did. When they were flying in, he's explaining the navigational charts. He's like, look, there's Mandalore. And he says, and that's the moon where I grew up, Concordia. And he says, here, he points to the map. He says, this is, what is the name of the planet?
It's a moon that she's on, I thought. And that's...
Anyway, he's like, here's where Bo-Katan is on this planet. It's here on the map. And he showed Grogu. So when he's getting captured and overwhelmed and beat down by this giant cybernetic droid, he says, get to Bo-Katan. So Grogu gets the fuck out.
Oh.
Gets to the
ship.
Missed
it then because I didn't hear that.
He gets to the ship.
I thought Grogu did that on his own.
No, he and R5 make it to Bo-Katan. She's like, where's your dad? And I was like, oh. And so Bo-Katan flies R5 and Grogu back in her ship, goes to Mandalore, finds, she's like, you're going to have to lead me to him. So Grogu leads her to the cyborg. She picks up the Darksaber because he had been disarmed and just wields it wonderfully. The first time we actually see her in canon using the Darksaber in battle, and that was cool as fuck.
She wields it a lot better than he does.
Because she knows what she wants.
Yeah.
And she rescues Mando, kills the cyborg, and then after she's trying to talk him into leaving, he's like, no, I have to bathe in the living waters in the mines. She takes him to the living waters. He strips off his jetpack and his weapons, steps into the waters. He's reciting the creed to restore himself as a Mandalorian, and then all of a sudden he drops off. She dives in to save him, finds him at the main bottom of the fucking living waters, and as she's flying him back up because she has her jetpack and he did not, there's a fucking mythosaur.
Yeah.
And they get to the surface, and that's how the episode ends. And I was like, holy shit, that was a mythosaur.
Yeah, I said that out loud too. Dad goes, "Is that it? God damn it!"
That was my next exact lines. God damn it! After it ended. So
this episode was a lot of fucking fun. It was way more adventure-y and swashbuckly than past episodes.
Yeah, and in fact, Den tells Grogu, he's like, "You ready for an adventure, kid?"
Yeah.
And it's like almost saying it to us. It's like, yeah, we're ready for an adventure. Let's go.
There was most people perceived this episode really well, but IGN gave it a 5. Would you like to know why?
Because they were on Tatooine again?
No.
Fucking 3 minutes?
No.
No.
The reviewer was upset because it was too dark. That it quote unquote suffered the same problem as that.
Screen?
What's that?
The visuals on the screen?
Yeah. I guess he didn't know how to turn up the brightness on his TV. Because I was like, too dark. I saw everything. What are you talking about?
Yeah. They were in mines, which are not lit. Oh my god.
It was so funny. But I'm rewatching that scene because how did I miss him saying go to Bo-Katan? Yeah, because he's captured right now. He just got his weapons taken out. Grogu's watching from a distance. And Grogu just takes off. When does he say go to Bo-Katan? Oh, wait, no, he's walking up to Mando right now. The subtitles are cracking me up because it's just like clicking and whirring and panting and grunting.
Yeah.
I guess he says it right here, huh? Oh shit! Did I look away from the screen or something? Like what the fuck?
I don't know.
Because Grogu's trying to use the Force powers to get him out of there.
Yeah.
And then the creature notices and get to Bo-Katan. Wow, yeah, he said, yeah, okay. I'll admit, I did not pay close enough attention.
All right.
Just to clarify, I fully believed you, but I was like, when does he say it? Because I didn't catch it. So,
that's okay because,
but
you're not the only person that didn't catch a significant detail from this episode.
I wouldn't say that was significant, but
no.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. I wouldn't say that was a significant detail because it didn't hinder my enjoyment of the episode. Who else?
Ryan Airy from Screen Crush. He was I was watching his recap of the episode, and he's like, "When did Peli Motto lose a tooth?" And I was like, "Tell me you didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett without telling me you didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett."
So one of our D&D guys, Mark.
Yeah.
I was talking to him about Mandalorian, and he goes, "Do I need to watch Book of Boba Fett to watch season 3 of Mandalorian?" And I said,
"Yes."
I was like, "Yeah, kind of." And he goes, "Oh, man," because I heard it's not very good. And I was like, "No, Book of Boba Fett's good. You just have to deal with some flashbacks of how Boba Fett got to where he is now, in post Return of the Jedi. Like you got 2 storylines." He goes, "Yeah," and I said, it's him escaping the Sarlacc pit and getting back to where he was essentially, and then there's the modern story of him becoming like what Jabba the Hutt, like what's going on during the absence of Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine." And he was like, "Oh," and I said, "But then after like I think 6 episodes, the next 3 are."
Well, it's only 7 episode period.
And so 4 episodes?
5 episodes. Episodes 5, 6, and 7 deal with Mando.
I thought it was just one episode was fully Mando, and then it was like Mando was just there for the last 2 or the last one or something.
One episode was fully Mando, and then episode 6 and 7, Mando was there with Boba.
Yeah, okay, that's what I remember.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember the order. I just knew it was the last 3 episodes. We went away from Boba Fett's return, essentially. But yeah, I told him, I was like, yes, you have to watch Book of Boba Fett. And I'll spoil a little bit. And I said, do you remember what happened at the end of season 2? He's like, yeah, Mando gave Grogu to Luke. And I said, right. Well, if you started watching season 3 without watching Book of Boba Fett, Grogu is just with Mando, and it would make no sense. And he was like, oh. And I went, yeah. So watch Book of Boba Fett. He was like, okay. So yeah, I mean, that's how these stories work. A lot of them, they're all interconnected. So, I mean,
yeah,
Marvel kind of set off that version of that for movies and TV shows, and Disney's going to follow suit. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fun. Like I said, it was more swashbuckling. It was, he says, we got, I need a droid for spelunking. We were like, what does that mean? So I thought it was fun. I mean, it added more depth to Mandalore, and I don't know. I there's not much to say about it. It added some more lore to what Mandalore was prior to what happened to it. And maybe we'll explore that a little bit more in like a flashback. I don't fucking know, but yeah, I had a blast watching this episode.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an A. It's not an A plus because I feel like a lot of stuff that happens in this season so far, especially with Bo-Katan, have been a little odd. Like, she's
obviously got a much bigger role this season.
Well, let me rephrase why I think it's a little odd. So in episode 1, she's just like moping on that giant throne. And it was like, why was she sitting on that throne? If there's nobody there, like, it just doesn't, I don't know, something's weird and off about it. And I'm like, I don't understand why you're doing this. But then in this episode, she happens to still be sitting there. And she's just like, she tells Din, like, I just want to be left alone. But then the second he's in trouble, she's like, I guess I don't. I'm just like, all right, Bo, like, what are we doing? So that's why it doesn't get an A+. It's just a little off on that.
Yeah, I follow.
It's yeah. Everything else was solid though, so I no complaints on that part. But
no complaints at all. I give it an A. A lot of fucking fun.
Yeah. Any final notes before we throw the podcast to the winds?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today, folks. What's up?
I'm excited for the finale of both Poker Face and The Last of Us, and I'm excited for the next chapter of The Mandalorian. I got to thinking earlier today, for some reason, a theme song of an old sitcom from the 90s popped into my head, and I'm not going to say which one, but I got to thinking, man, we used to look forward to that shit. And now, by today's TV standards, TV was crap back then. We have so much good shit. It's
because people who are creatives are being, like, the leash is being let up a little bit. And I think a lot of these studios are understanding that what people want to see is a creative kind of do something new and different with these old properties.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting more and more of that. And you're going to have a lot of pushback and a lot of detractors, but fuck them. People don't know how to judge something on its own merit.
No, they don't.
So a lot of like criticism I see about Last of Us is that it's not exactly like the game. And I'm like, this is the closest adaptation I've ever fucking seen in my life. and you're bitching still. Like it.
Besides
you can't win
She-Hulk.
for some people. Yeah, no, She-Hulk. Yeah.
But yeah, for video game adaptation, yeah, never seen anything closer. And done better. Flat out done better.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. But yeah, that's what we're gonna end it here, folks. Been a fucking busy week. Jesus Christ. So next week is, as Maya said, the finale of Poker Face and Last of Us, which is crazy that they both ended on the same week, but whatever. And episode 3 of Mandalorian. So go watch those. Join us. If you haven't watched Poker Face or The Last of Us, just binge it this week, and then come join us. It's great. It's great content. Make sure you follow us on all socials, which are listed down below. That's what we'll let you know if we add anything. I don't think we'll this week, but if we do, that's where you'll find it. Check out our Teespring store. That's where you'll find all the merch that we have that goes directly into the podcast to help it sustain any kind of life that it has, whether it be on life support or just thriving. That's how you support us. Also by listening and leaving reviews. But, financially, that's how you're going to support us. And if you do buy something, let us know. We'll give you a shout out if you want to. It's up to you. That's it for my notes. I don't really have anything else. But Maya, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Facebook under my name, Maya Dawn Fisher. It's a public profile. It's linked to my Twitter and Instagram accounts, so it's your one-stop shop for everything that I'm up to. What about you, Greg? Where can people find you?
You can find me under Chub Rock Geek on all social medias. I haven't been posting a whole lot of game content on my Twitter, but I've been busy, so don't shoot the messenger. But
Don't at me.
Don't at me. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this podcast, folks. Again, Mando, Last of Us, Poker Face. Watch those. Join us next week. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you guys being here. We always remember, fuck the GOP, fuck the NRA. Hope and donate where you can. Help and donate where you can. I'm sorry that my tongue just decided to tie itself up. That was fun. Anyway, we'll see you next week, everybody.
Take care, everybody.